Good evening. Welcome to the 23rd annual Secondary School Ed Foundation Hall of Fame. Glad to see you here this evening. We've got a nice slate of nominees tonight that we're going to induct. The other thing I wanted to draw your attention to before we begin is the flag of learning hanging up here on the curtain. The explanation to the flag of learning is in the program along. When you get the opportunity, please make sure you kind of take a look at that. That is the flag. The flag of learning is a flag that the foundation has chosen as kind of our emblem. At the end of the ceremony, when we hand out the plaques, there will also be a lapel pin, which will be above the flag of learning. Without further ado, I will present. Who's going to start? Okay. Mark Irwin and Megan Coates are announcers tonight. And Mark is going to start off with Rick Cancun.
Karen Wendell Kuhn, class of 1963. Karen Ann Kuhn is a 1963 graduate of Sac Community High School. After graduation, she attended St. Vincent School of Nursing in Sioux City for 1 year and then went to St. Anthony's School of Nursing in Carroll. There she received her LPN. Karen worked a short time at Twilight Acres Nursing Home in Wall Lake, Iowa, after graduation from St. Anthony's. In August of 1966, she began working at Parkview Care Center in Sac City and has put in almost 48 years in this job. Karen has been very active in her community, serving 14 years on the city council. She was also very instrumental in the startup of the Sac Community Center, the place where she attended grade school. She is also a member of Sac City Chamber Main Street, Sac City Ambassadors, the Finance Board, and the Education Board of the Methodist Church. Karen has been a great influence and example to many in our community, giving back to the town where she grew up and went to school. Most times working behind the scenes, not wanting any credit for all she has done. Karen has fond memories of classes with Bill Broughton, music with Gordon Lamb, and the band trips with Dean Marshall. She was also involved in the Dolphin Club. She has had the opportunity to do some traveling to South Dakota, Cancun, Jamaica, taking a cruise with her family. She likes to camp and golf and spend time with her daughter and family. Karen believes that one of the most important things she learned from the school and the community is that hard work and determination will take you far in life. And here's Karen Wendell Kuhn.
Indiction Foundation. I appreciate it, and I have two. I'll share. I have two beautiful grandchildren that attend this school district, and we have a very good education system. And I guess that's about it. And I'm going to left Rex over here to Deacon Butch Stone. He'll handle all this stuff. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee, who is not here tonight, is John Chris, class of 1945. John Chris has been a lifelong resident of Sac City. John graduated with the class of 1945. His favorite class in high school was music. At Sac High, he was an avid athlete, but particularly enjoyed baseball and track. Upon graduation, he enrolled at the University of Iowa and was awarded a degree in economics. He was a member of the Iowa basketball team during his freshman year, but had to quit because of bad knees. The Korean War had broken out, and he was drafted into the military after college. He was part of the United Nations forces that fought for the people of South Korea. He was honorably discharged in 1952 as a Master Sergeant of the 179th Regiment, 45th Division. John returned to Sac City after his service and purchased an interest in the Chief Clothing Store. Chief Clothing Store was started by his grandparents in 1929. In 1974, John oversaw an extensive remodeling of Chief's. The building expanded and combined its store with the building next door, formerly the Sac Sun building. John remained vice president of Chief's until his grandfather's death in 1974, and then he became the president of the company. He operated the store until 1997 when it was sold. John was also active in Kiwanis, the American Legion, and the local VFW. John is the great-grandson of Judge Eugene Chris, the founder of Sac City. In 2013, John gave the city of Sac City a beautiful gazebo located by the Raccoon River to commemorate his grandfather.
Jackie Nelson Armstrong, class of 1980. Jackie Nelson graduated from Sac Community School with the class of 1980. The school personnel who most influenced Jackie were Mrs. Pellersells, Mrs. Stout, Mrs. Peterson, Mr. Syro, Mr. Martin, Mr. Stenson, Mr. Ring, and Mr. Trowoff, the lunch ladies, and Jack, the bus driver. Her favorite classes included math, biology, Spanish, and home ec. School activities that were special to Jackie included AFS, Pep Club, and golf. Jackie's education included graduating summa cum laude from Iowa Central Community College in hotel and motel restaurant management. She took many continuing ed classes related to food and nutrition, and a certificate of completion on adult orientation of the Iowa Department for the Blind. Following her love of food preparation, Jackie was the country club manager at West Bend, owner and operator of the Homestead Restaurant and Lounge in Lakota, Iowa, food service director for the Forest City Community School District. Jackie is also involved in her community. She was an officer in the Algona Order of Eastern Star, adult advisor for Rainbow Girls in Demolay, a volunteer for the Winnebago County Historical Society, member of the Human Rights Committee for Mosaic, and a volunteer for the Forest City AFS annual food raiser. Jackie served as a leader in obtaining a U.S. Department of Agriculture grant to provide free lunches to people of Forest City during summer school. She also served on the Human Rights Committee for developmentally disabled citizens. Jackie married Tracy Armstrong. They have 2 children, Peggy of Phoenix and Eric of Forest City. And here is Jackie Nelson Armstrong.
Sure you can hear me. I especially want to make sure my mom can hear me because she was worried about that. I hope you're down in the front row, Mom. I am so here tonight. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame members for all that you do for your community and for the school, because education is so important. It's the seed, it's a lifelong seed that should be instilled in all of us. And that seed was first planted right here in Sac City. I have not been in this auditorium for years, and when I walked on stage, the first thing that popped into my head were the Al Bell presentations, which I used to just love. I miss them. I wonder if those traditions are still carried on by his family. Like I said, I feel that education is a seed that's planted. And in order for you to grow and be happy and healthy throughout your whole life, education has to be part of that through your whole life. And I've learned that over the years. That didn't necessarily occur to me when I graduated how important that was. But as I grow older and wiser, I really truly believe that without education, you would not have self-confidence, you would not have the drive to do all the things that are set in your path. And I call these things, such as my blindness, my mountain. And I wouldn't be able to climb that mountain without education. I'm a little nervous. Do I look it? When I graduated from high school, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I loved math, but even back then, I knew that my eyes gave me a lot of grief. I knew I would not be able to work with numbers 8 hours a day. So I kind of thought, well, what do I like? I like food. I like to cook. So that's what started my travels. And it wasn't long into my career that I needed help with my work because my eyes were not allowing me to do what I needed to do to be successful. And at that time, even the Department of the Blind came into my life, and they set me up with computers that had enlarged screens, calculators that talked, and magnification so that I could do my work. And that worked really well for me for many, many years. But as the years went on, my vision, of course, got worse and worse. Pretty soon, I wasn't able to get my driver's license without a few restrictions, and then pretty soon I could only drive during daytime, and next thing I knew, I couldn't drive out of town. And now I don't drive at all, thank goodness. That's lucky for you. But I also reached that point in my life where I knew that I'd reached a plateau on my mountain, and I needed to learn how to do things differently so that I could continue to climb my mountain and reach that next peak, or that plateau. And I did take 6 months out of my life to go to Des Moines, and I went to the Iowa Department for the Blind. And there I learned how not to use what little vision I did have. I can see, I just can't see very well at all. So my husband always said, I've been blind in one eye and I can't see out of the other. And he was so right. You know, I'd go down to pet the cat or the dog, and I'd really be petting the dirty bath towel that was rolled up on the floor. Or I'd go to follow him outside to the deck, and, you know, I'd run right into the screen door because I didn't realize he had closed it. You know, I'd trip over curbs or stumble down steps, and I honestly had not been drinking. So I knew that it was time for me to continue my education in a different way. So without the help and support of other people, without that continued education and learning, I would not be happy, healthy, and moving on with my life. And that, I truly believe that this is for everybody. When you continue to learn, you continue to have confidence in yourself, you continue to grow, and you're successful at whatever you do. So I do want to pass that message along. As we were waiting in the back, sharing some of our school memories, it was fun to listen to the stories that everyone had. I wish I knew who all was out there, because I don't know really which stories I do or don't want to share. But as I was writing this speech, and I was alluding to the fact that how fun it is to learn, especially as you get older, as I get older, I'm always finding myself turning on the TV to watch PBS or some other documentary or educational channel. And when I was in high school, I didn't necessarily always think that class was fun. Especially, I would have to say, would have to have been British literature in my junior year. That thought never occurred to me that this was fun. But I'm so glad now that we did have to read Hamlet over Christmas break. It's a good thing to have under your belt. I also think that as you grow and learn as an adult, you have to keep in mind a sense of humor, because if you don't have that sense of humor and if you can't laugh at yourself and move forward instead of being frustrated with yourself when things go wrong, it's hard to keep climbing and going up. So humor is important. One little story I kind of think about was about 5 or 6 years ago. My family and I went to Las Vegas, and it was the first, well, maybe it was longer than 5 years ago. Maybe it was about 10. We were there for a family reunion, and my mom, Margaret, and Leroy Nelson, and my husband were there, and we'd never been there. And my mom was nervous because she's hearing impaired, and she was so worried that we'd get up to the reception desk in Las Vegas, and she wouldn't be able to hear what the reception was saying to her. So she asked my husband if he would help her. Well, my husband is a stutterer, and when he's in strange places or around people he doesn't know, his stuttering gets a little more prevalent. So he said to me, "Jackie, would you help me talk? Because, I'm afraid I'm going to stutter if they ask me any questions." I says, "Well, I can help, but if I have to read anything or fill out documents." So, we just kind of looked at it. Well, I wonder if they've ever had the 3 monkeys check into this hotel. They hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So, laughing at yourself and making lighthearted of your struggles, turn them into not struggles. They just turn them into memories. So I just want to say I'm so happy that Sac City put those seeds of education and planted those for me, because I've truly nurtured, fed, and have grown from all that I've learned here where it started. Thank you so much.
Byron Bush Stone, class of 1968. Byron Bush Stone graduated from Sac City Community School District in 1968. In his high school years, Bush was active in speech and speech contests with Mr. Hall, Industrial Arts, FFA, and DECA with Mr. Martin. After high school, he joined the Army Reserves, where he served for 8 years. Following the reserves, he worked as a mechanic station attendant in Sac City, grain elevator operator, and spent 7 years in masonry construction. He also spent time as an outpatient alcoholism counselor. In 1986, Butch became an insurance agent for Farm Bureau Insurance, selling life, health, and property insurance. During his 28 years at Farm Bureau, Butch received numerous top sales awards, including Master Agent and All-American, feats only a small number of agents achieve. In more recent years, Butch has followed a different calling, and in 2002, he started his studies and training with the Sioux City Diocese of the Catholic Church, and in October 2008, received the Sacrament of Holy Orders, being ordained a deacon and subsequently assigned to 3 churches: St. Mary's in Sac City, Sacred Heart in Early, and St. Joseph's in Wall Lake. Butch has done incredible works through God's calling and has touched the lives of many parishioners. Over the years, Butch has been involved in many organizations, a few of which are the Fire Department, Lions Club, Local School Board, SETD, and Catechism teacher at St. Joseph's. He shares his accomplishments with his wife of over 40 years, Nancy, 2 daughters, Wendy, Ulrich, and Kate Keys, and a son, Sean, as well as 7 wonderful grandchildren. And here is Butch Stone.
It's actually Sympathy card should be addressed to Nancy Stone, P.O. Box 418, Wall Lake, Iowa. I'd like to thank the board for this great honor. When I received notification from Kim, I'm going to Nancy, but what is this? I didn't realize they were that desperate. I'm not a native of Sac City. Our family moved here in 1961. Bev and I, my twin sister, were in the third quarter of 5th grade when we came to Sac City. And my first 5 minutes on the playground, one of the class toughs, bullies, approached me, gave me a shove, and not being wise enough to run, I shoved him back. We became wonderful friends. His name was Tom Rich. It wasn't 2 minutes later, the second class bully came up. And thank God, Tom protected me. He said, Kathy, Butch is okay. Kathy Hobbs. I was more scared of her than Tom. Sac City has been so very good to me, and I'll tie some of these things together as I go. My first teacher in Sac City was Mrs. Raby, and for those of you who remember her, of course, not being allowed today, but we started every day with a prayer and a pledge to the allegiance. It was absolutely wonderful. In 6th grade, my teacher was Mrs. Price. And I don't remember having a problem reading. But she transferred me over for some special help from the school principal, the elementary principal. And watch me butcher her name. Miss Sybil's? Sybil's. Oh, we had other names for that. Thank you. As I said, I didn't realize I had a reading problem, but she worked with me very patiently. That's when I wasn't in her office for other reasons of reprimand. And she guided me in reading and comprehension that became so valuable to me later in my life, and gave me a love of reading that became very, very valuable in my life. I still remember entering that foyer for the very first time when we reached 7th grade. I had no more than gotten off the school bus, walked into the foyer there, and I think he was a junior or a senior in high school named John Lang, grabbed me under one arm and took me down and dumped me in the kindergarten classroom down the hall down there. He said, "You were headed the wrong direction, boy." Which also helps explain, when I was in 7th grade, I went out for football. Now, you'll catch on to this in a moment. Our teachers in football was Lowell Samuelson, Keith Palmer, and I believe Mr. Tryon, also Gaylord Tryon, was also in sports at that time. And they found the smallest uniform they could find, and they gave it to me. And I believe the shirts were supposed to be 3/4 length on your arm. We had to roll mine up to get it up above the wrist. I think the pants were supposed to come down just below your knee. Yeah, we had to roll those up to get them above my shoes. The first play was out here on the field south here. And I don't know whose sick idea it was, but I remember seeing the coaches just laughing their duffers off as I was getting into this uniform. And then they put me on left defensive end and gave the ball to Fred Beaver to come around my end. All I remember is grabbing one foot. That's all I could get a hold of. And the other one just kept kicking me in the head over and over and over. And finally he fell down for whatever reason. And that was the end of my football career. I was approximately 40 pounds at the time. I think because of that demise of my sports endeavors, I was blessed with the most wonderful, and I've given credit many times over the years, to the English teacher of my freshman year, Mr. Glenn Hall. And this was towards the end of his career of teaching. I think he retired within a year or two after my freshman year. He suggested that I get into speech contests. Now, I really could not participate in sports. I was like a third grader in high school, seriously. And it was the most wonderful thing in the world. He would coach me. I remember the big 2 reel tape recorders, and we would give the talk, and then he'd replay it. We'd give the talk, he'd replay it. And he would point out each little thing that was how you correct yourself in your pronunciation, your enunciation, your physical motions, how you would act during the talks, etc. And it worked. My freshman year, I got a #1 in state in humorous declamation. So then, freshman, sophomore year, oh, that's right, driver's ed. You knew this was coming. You knew this was coming. Mr. Voker, in his kindness, was my driver's ed teacher. Now keep in mind that Bev and I were, my twin, were in everything together. Without even seeing me sit in a car, Mr. Voker equipped this Rambler station wagon with 2 to 4 extensions put on the foot, feet, and the brake. That's not to mention I had 2 cushions under my butt and 2 cushions behind my back so that I could reach those 2x4s on the foot, feet, and the brake. He was so kind. But it worked. Otherwise it would have been a nightmare. I noticed he never took his foot far from that brake thing over there on the right side. Wonderful kindness. Also in my freshman year, we had a student FFA teacher, voc instructor, that was working with Mr. Crawford. And he coached me, along with Mr. Hall, working on me in those speech contests. That student teacher worked with me to make me a creed speaker in FFA. And that was also, between the 2 of them, Mr. Hall and this gentleman whose name I can't remember, because Mr. Reading came the next year, was absolutely wonderful in strengthening me. In that endeavor became something I have used my whole life, whether it be in my employment, whether it be in preaching or giving a talk to an auditorium. I gave a lot of talks. They mentioned in my bio that I had been an alcoholism counselor. I am a recovering alcoholic, and when I quit drinking when I was 28 years old, thanks to God and my wife Nancy. I gave a lot of talks to high school kids back then in my 30s, and it was because of that input that I learned in high school of how to present oneself and stay casual and just let it go, that it works so very, very well. I appreciate some of the things from high school. I think of Mr. Broughton with such fondness. That was our government teacher, for those of you who weren't aware. He allowed us to bring treats every time we had a birthday, and we were rather sophisticated because we were seniors. We would order cupcakes from the Wigwam Bakery, and they would deliver them to our classroom. I had 6 birthdays my senior year. Also with especially fond memories, and giving credit to Larry Martin. He was economics teacher, but also he started the DECA program in this school, and I was blessed to be in that very first year of Distributive Education Clubs of America under Mr. Martin. And what he did for us was to give us skills for life. He didn't teach us just out of the book. He didn't teach us just economics and numbers. He didn't teach us just sales and marketing. He taught us how to be a productive citizen in our communities. He taught us how to balance a checkbook. He taught us what the meaning of insurance was, why you buy car insurance, why you have homeowners insurance, why you have life insurance, etc. all these things that were life skills that we weren't getting anywhere else. You know, I loved vocab. I never had Mr. Voker as a teacher because I was in vocab and FFA. But the skills I learned there of how to be a mechanic. We overhauled an engine my sophomore year. Ted Huser brought a tractor in, and he was courageous enough to leave it with us so we could tear it apart and put it back together with new pieces. We would build wood projects, learn a little bit about carpentry. We would learn parliamentary procedure, which served me well in my life, whether it was on the school board of WLBA or in other organizations that I've been in throughout my life. The things we learned in Sac City High School have been tools for a lifetime. I thank you so much for this honor and for Karen giving me her time so that I could stretch my talk out a little bit longer. Thank you.
Lisa Scholl Van Stubenberg, who is not here tonight, class of 1978. Lisa Scholl Van Stubenberg graduated from Sac Community High School in 1978. After graduating from Sac High, Lisa attended USD and later finished at California State University at Sonoma with a BA in accounting. Her formal music studies have included classes at the University of California in Sacramento, 15 years of private study in San Francisco, and many master classes with famous opera singers. Lisa's most prestigious role thus far in Sieglinde from Wagner's Die Walküre from the Ring Cycle, performed with the Fohlen Opera in San Francisco. She has also worked with the Sonoma City Opera, San Francisco Lyric Opera, and North Bay Opera. Her other work includes several oratorio concerts. Lisa has been generous with her gifts and given numerous benefit concerts that include 6 for the Napa Valley Music Associates, a training program initiated for young music students when programs were cut in schools. 4 benefits for the restoration of the Music Napa Valley Opera House, a benefit for the Chamber Music of Napa Valley, a famous chamber series, and produced a chamber vocal recital concert of music by Richard Strauss. Lisa has remembered her roots and given 2 benefit concerts for the Sac High School Music Department. The first was in the summer of 1993, and the second was May 1999. Lisa now lives in Napa, California, and works as controller for Sainsbury Winery in Napa. Her parents are Nita Scholl and the late Tom Scholl. Now, since she's not here tonight, she asked us to read this letter. Hello all. I am honored to receive this recognition in Sac City, Iowa, and am sad that I will not be able to attend as I am performing a concert in Sac City, California, which is actually Sacramento. Yes, the capital city of California really has that nickname. I am sure if I were present, I would have a nice acceptance speech, which I might set to music and sing, or give you my rendition of Lime Jello Marshmallow Cottage Surprise. Whenever I perform this cabaret song, I always think fondly of my growing up in Sac City and all the great potluck church and school gatherings. What I want really to say to all present is that no matter how far from home I roam and settle, it is always 2 early years that I return in my dreams. My mind wanders the streets, alleys, ravines, and backyards of Sac City. When I am reading a book, my imagination always paints an imagery environment that is built from childhood. Friends and lessons learned on how to create and take care of the community around us are all learned from the examples of the adults molding my life in Sac City. I have used the values that were demonstrated over and over again in all aspects of my mature life and will always be grateful that I was born and raised in Sac City, Iowa. Fondly and with best regards, Lisa Scholl Van Studenberg.
Kurt Volkert, class of 1982. Kurt was one of the 60 seniors that graduated from Sac Community School with the class of 1982. In high school, Kurt was involved in football, basketball, golf, and track. He was a member of school newspaper staff and the KSAC Radio Club and was a homecoming king candidate. He says teachers he recalls are Mr. Sorensen, Mr. Jacobson, Mr. Sansel, and Mr. Broughton. Kurt received an EMTA certification in 1984 and an EMTAD certification in 1985. He received an RN degree in 1987. He graduated cum laude from Briarcliff College with a bachelor's in psychology in 1991. While at Briarcliff, he was a member of the President's Roundtable, a member of the Psi Chi and International Honor Society of Psychology. He was vice president of the Psychology Club and a scholarship winner. In 1994, Kurt received a master's in counseling psychology from the University of South Dakota, where he was a Chi Sigma Iota member and served as vice president of Psi Chi. Kurt has also been a contributor to several publications. Kurt was employed by Mercy Medical Center in Sioux City in 1986. He served in various units as a mental health technician. He also worked for Crittenton Family Development Center and Vicinity of Iowa Incorporated. He also served as a psychometrist therapist at Mercy Medical Center Psychological Services and at Associates for Psychiatric Services, all in Sioux City. In 2012, Kurt joined St. Anthony Regional Hospital in Carroll, Iowa, as director of the outpatient mental health clinic. Kurt has three children, daughter Abby and sons Evan and Colin. Kurt is currently living in Sac City. And here is Kurt Volkert.
Good evening. A few notes here. It says, I enjoyed high school, maybe a little bit too much. The teachers that I most enjoyed were Mr. Samsel, Mr. Sorensen, Mr. Jacobson, and Mr. Broughton. I had one teacher, a certain shop teacher that I had in 1978. He was tough. He quit teaching after I had him as a teacher. I'm not sure if there's a connection there or not. I could have done a lot better academically when I was here. I was very easily distracted and wasn't very disciplined. I wish I had done better. I've always wanted to make my mother and father proud. I've always been completely honest with my kids about how I had underachieved in high school and how it was detrimental to me. I went to nursing school and found that I loved the psych rotation, so I wanted to work in psychiatry or psychology. And I found that going to school, learning about what you love, is very enjoyable. It's a challenge and a reward. I graduated from St. Joe's School of Nursing in Sioux City. It was the last person to ever graduate from the school. They closed after I graduated. Again, I don't know if there's a connection there or not. I went to Briarcliff College for my bachelor's degree in psychology. Briarcliff College also changed their name to Briarcliff University after I graduated, so I'm not sure about that. Briarcliff College, though, taught me to be responsible, to do my best, to work hard, and to challenge myself. Then I went on to complete my master's degree in counseling psychology at the University of South Dakota. The entire time that I went through nursing school, Briarcliff, and the University of South Dakota, I went to school full-time and worked full-time as well. I finally had some self-confidence in myself and finally believed in myself that I could actually accomplish something and be something. My father always said, or always told me, get a position, not just a job. He's always been my inspiration. Most certainly my role model, and who would be a better role model than on him. I am very proud of him, and very proud to be his son. I have over the years worked at a number of different jobs. A cement crewman, a newspaper delivery boy, pizza delivery, a bag boy at a grocery store, orderly, mental health tech, RN, social worker, therapist, psychometrist, and clinical coordinator. But my most rewarding role, however, would be is to be a son and a father. I have three of the most wonderful kids in the world: Abby, Evan, and Colin. My son Colin, who's waiting, is here tonight with me today. As is my father. My mother cannot be here, as she passed away last fall. And I will always love her dearly and miss her always. For even though I did not do well as I should have in high school, academically, while I was here, I did learn quite a bit. And I've taken what I've learned and used it in my work. When doing therapy and working with adolescents, I use my own examples of what not to do. I guess it's sort of do as I say, not as I do. By doing that, I feel that I've helped them a great amount. One example I would say that I would have would be when I was working doing newspaper delivery to earn extra income that my kids would help me, or I helped them, or I want to turn that. And luckily in Sioux City, where I was living at the time, I delivered papers in a very nice area of town, very huge, very nice houses. And part of having to deliver the papers, you also had to deliver the shopper's guide. So my son Evan and I were driving around delivering those, and I would come up to one of the houses and say, well, Dr. Smith lives there. When he went to college, he smoked a lot of pot, and didn't go to a lot of classes a lot of times. And Dr. Jones over here, he was big in drinking a lot, went to a lot of kegs. Dr. Johnson over here, he sold drugs and got kicked out of school. And my son looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, pull over. I said, that's the point. These people live in these houses here. They're doctors, attorneys, business owners. I said, they did well in high school. They did well. They went from high school to college, did well in college, went to graduate school, medical school, law school. I said, they didn't have to go through this rite of passage where you have to have this sign when you're real crazy and got in a lot of trouble. I said, that's bull. You don't have to do that. I said, look at this. I'm delivering their newspaper. I'm older than they are. I'll never live in a house like this. Because I already lost that up when I was in high school. I can attain something, but I can't ever attain what they've attained. I said, you can. You're in high school. You can do whatever you want. And you could see the cogs in his head kind of turn, and he thought about it. And he and Colin and Abby are extremely intelligent, and they've never gotten any of the dumb trouble that I did and things like that. And I guess that's as a point, that's what I'm saying where I learned a lot here. I should have done better academically, but I'm taking what I have learned, more life lessons, I guess, and I'm applying them. I want to feel like I've helped a number of adolescents do better and not have to go through the same junk that I did and a lot of others did. I feel like I've helped a lot of other young adults be something, do something with their lives, and for that I'm very proud. Thank you.
Always amazes me the presentations we have and how they reflect back on the teachers and some of the comments that are made. Fantastic group and fantastic bunch of details this year. Really appreciate it. This time, we're going to present the plaques and the lapel pins. As I call your name, if you would come forward. Appreciate it. Can't read this thing. Why everything is, Then the two inductees that were not here, Chris and Lisa Schultz, we will get those sent off to them, make sure they get their plaques and pins. That is the conclusion of our ceremony for this evening. Please join us in the cafeteria for a reception, at which time you can talk and make fun of whoever you want to make fun of.
Yeah, I know.
I wasn't looking at anybody. Thank you again for coming.